My name is Heidi. As I wiped the soapy brush across the greasy tiles one more time, my back ached so badly and my big belly made it hard to reach the corners. I was 8 months pregnant and every move felt like a heavy stone pulling me down. The Sunnyside restaurant had closed for the night, but I stayed late to clean because Mrs. Wilson paid extra for the hard jobs. She was a cruel woman who always shouted at me. Earlier that day, she had snapped at me in front of customers. She said if I could not scrub the floors fast enough with my big belly, then maybe I should go beg on the street. I needed every dollar for the baby coming soon, or we would have no place to live. The small restaurant smelled of old oil and fried chicken that stuck to my clothes. I pushed myself up slowly, holding my lower back. My feet hurt in the cheap shoes I wore, and tears stung my eyes from the pain. Just then, bright headlights cut through the front windows like sharp knives. Cars stopped right outside with loud engines. I heard doors slam hard. Heavy footsteps came toward the door. My heart beat faster and faster. Who would come this late when the restaurant was supposed to be empty? I stayed on my knees, hoping they would go away. The lock clicked open with a scary sound. Men in dark suits walked in. They looked serious and strong, like they owned the night. One man stepped forward. I kept my head down and scrubbed harder. I did not want trouble. The air felt cold all of a sudden. Then I heard a voice I knew too well. It was deep and sharp like a knife. My hands froze on the brush. Fear rushed through me as old memories flooded my mind. That voice took me back 8 months in a rush of pain. I remembered the day I packed my small bag and left our big house with tears running down my face. Minho and I had been married for almost 2 years. At first, life felt like a beautiful dream. He brought me flowers every week and took me to nice places where we laughed until my sides hurt. Then, one rainy afternoon, I found papers in his office drawer. They showed he was the boss of a dangerous Korean Mafia group in the city. Men listened to him with fear in their eyes. I saw photos of fights and threats that made my stomach turn sick. I was 1 month pregnant then, but I did not tell him. The danger scared me too much for words. I loved Minho with all my heart, but I could not bring a baby into that dark world of guns and shadows. So I left while he was out on business late that night. I wrote a short note saying I needed space. I did not say anything about the baby because I feared he would stop me. I took a bus to the other side of the city and found a tiny room to rent. My hands shook the whole time I wrote that note. Tears fell on the paper, making the ink run. I knew leaving would break his heart, but the fear for our child won over everything. The bus ride felt endless and cold. I kept looking back, wondering if he would find me before I could hide. The day I left, rain fell hard outside like it was crying with me. I closed the door quietly so no one would hear my footsteps. My heart hurt so much as I walked away into the storm. Minho had been good to me in many ways. He made sure I had nice clothes and good food on the table every night. But the Mafia life changed everything for us. Late-night calls made the phone ring like warnings. Men with guns waited at our door sometimes, and the fear that something bad could happen any day never left me. I rubbed my belly in the bus seat and whispered soft promises to the tiny life inside. I told the baby I would keep us safe, no matter what. The first weeks alone were hard and lonely. I found work at the Sunnyside restaurant, washing dishes and cleaning after closing. Mrs. Wilson was cruel from the start. She made me work longer hours and yelled if I rested even for a minute. She let me rest only when my feet swelled so bad I could not stand, but then she mocked me, saying pregnant girls like me were slow and useless. I hid my growing belly under loose shirts at first. No one knew my real story. I saved every tip for baby clothes and doctor visits, even though Mrs. Wilson took some for herself. Nights were lonely in my small room. I missed Minho's strong arms around me, but I knew I made the right choice, or at least I hoped I did with all my heart. I lay awake many nights, listening to the city sounds and wondering if he was searching for me. The worry never left me completely. Life after I left moved slowly like a heavy cloud that would not go away. I woke early every day for the early shift at the restaurant, even though my body begged for rest. The smell of coffee and pancakes filled my nose, but it made me feel sick some mornings. Customers came and went without caring about my tired eyes. I smiled and served plates even when my back hurt so bad I wanted to cry. Mrs. Wilson gave me no extra breaks. Instead, she watched me with mean eyes and said if I slowed down, she would cut my pay or fire me. She told me I was lucky to have a job since no one wanted a pregnant woman who could barely move. I told her I was alone and expecting, but she laughed and said that was my problem, not hers. I rented a small apartment with thin walls where I could hear neighbors fighting. The baby kicked more each week, and it gave me strength. I bought a second-hand crib with my savings, even though Mrs. Wilson made me pay for broken plates from my own pocket. Some nights I cried because I felt scared about doing this alone in the world. But I kept working hard every day. The city felt big and cold without Minho by my side. I heard rumors that a powerful man was buying buildings in our area to make room for new businesses. I did not think much about it at the time. I just focused on keeping my job and staying healthy for the baby inside me. My hands grew rough and red from all the cleaning water. I talked to the baby every night, telling stories about a safe future we would have together. The loneliness pressed on my chest like a weight, but the tiny kicks reminded me why I stayed strong, no matter what Mrs. Wilson said. That morning before the men came, Mrs. Wilson looked worried, but she still treated me cruelly. She said someone might shut the restaurant down soon because the building owner owed money to bad people. I felt a twist in my stomach like a knife. This job was my only way to pay bills and buy things for the baby. I needed it until the baby came, or we would be on the street. I told her I would stay late and clean the floor really well so the place looked nice. Maybe it would help keep the restaurant open a little longer. She thanked me with a mean laugh and said I better do a perfect job, or she would make me pay for the lights myself. Now as I knelt there with the brush, I thought about the baby moving inside me. I whispered soft words to calm my fears. The footsteps grew louder outside. Suits and shiny shoes stopped near me on the wet floor. I kept scrubbing, hoping they would not notice me right away. My loose shirt hid most of my belly, but not all of it. One man cleared his throat loudly. Then the deep voice spoke again, giving orders. It sent chills down my arms and made my heart race. I knew that voice from my old life. It belonged to Minho, the man I had run from. My breath caught in my throat as I realized what this meant. Everything I had run from was now right here in the restaurant, and I could not hide anymore. I kept my eyes on the tiles, trying not to shake. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest. Minho's voice gave sharp orders to the men around him. He said the restaurant had to close today for good. They were taking over the building for something bigger and better. Mrs. Wilson's voice shook as she argued with them, but I could hear the fear in it. I stayed quiet on the floor with my knees sore from kneeling so long. I did not move even though pain shot through my legs. Then Minho walked closer. His shoes stopped right beside my bucket of dirty water. I could smell his familiar cologne that brought back memories of warm nights and soft kisses we once shared. I swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. Slowly I lifted my head with my heart in my throat. Our eyes met across the small space. His face went still like stone. The strong Mafia boss froze like a statue in shock. His dark eyes widened in surprise. He looked at my face first, then down at my round belly pressing against the wet floor. Time seemed to stop completely. His men waited behind him without moving. No one spoke a word. I saw shock and deep pain flash across his face all at once. He opened his mouth, but no words came out at first. The silence stretched on thick and heavy between us. I could see the questions burning in his eyes like fire. My own hands trembled as I held the brush tight, afraid to let go. Everything I had hidden was now out in the open. Minho stared at me for what felt like forever with his eyes full of hurt. His hands clenched at his sides so hard I saw his knuckles turn white. I tried to stand up, but my legs shook from the long night of cleaning. He reached down fast and helped me up gently like I was made of glass. His touch felt warm and careful after so many cold months. "Emma?" he said in a broken whisper that cracked with emotion. His voice sounded lost and full of pain. The powerful man who scared everyone looked completely lost in that moment. I nodded slowly with my throat feeling tight like a rope. He glanced at my belly again, and his face turned pale. The baby kicked hard as if it knew something big was happening right then. Minho's eyes filled with surprise. He waved at his men quickly. "Stop everything right now," he ordered in a firm voice. "No one touches this place or her." They looked surprised, but obeyed right away without question. Mrs. Wilson stood by the counter with wide eyes full of shock. Minho kept holding my arm like he was afraid I might fall any second. I saw questions burning in his eyes as he looked at me. He led me to a chair near the window with slow, careful steps. My heart raced faster than ever. I had not planned to see him again like this after running away. The room felt smaller with him so close, and his men stepped back to give us space. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us both like a storm about to break. Minho pulled out another chair and sat across from me with his eyes never leaving my face. He ran a hand through his hair, looking troubled. "How long?" he asked softly with his voice full of wonder. I knew what he meant about the baby. I took a deep breath, trying to find my words. 8 months, I said quietly. "The baby is yours, Minho." His eyes filled with surprise and something like joy mixed with deep hurt. He leaned forward closer to me. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice sounded rough, like he was fighting back tears. I looked down at my hands that were still dirty from the floor. "I found out right before I left you. Your world was too dangerous, Minho. Guns, threats, and late nights filled with fear. I could not raise a child in that kind of life." He listened without interrupting me once. His jaw tightened with regret showing on his face. One of his men brought me a glass of water without being asked. Minho made sure I drank it slowly and carefully. The restaurant felt quieter now, like the world had stopped outside. Mrs. Wilson watched from the side with a mean look on her face, not sure what to do next. Minho turned to her with a hard stare. "The restaurant stays open," he said firmly. "I will fix the debt myself and more." His words surprised me, but I stayed silent, letting the moment sink in deep. For the first time in months, I felt a small spark of hope. We sat in the back office where it was quieter and away from the others. Minho helped me onto the soft couch with gentle hands. He knelt in front of me and looked at my belly with soft eyes. His hand hovered like he wanted to touch, but was scared he might hurt me. "I looked for you every single day," he said with pain in his voice. "I sent men all over the city searching. I thought you left because you stopped loving me." Tears stung my eyes as I listened. I told him about the lonely nights and the doctor visits I went to alone. He listened with deep pain on his face the whole time. Then he stood and paced the small room. "I was wrong to hide my life from you, Emma," he admitted honestly. "The Mafia took too much of me back then. But I changed after you left. I started making safer plans for us." I wanted to believe him with all my heart. The baby kicked again strongly. Minho smiled a little when he saw my belly move under my shirt. He placed his hand gently on it, feeling the life inside. The touch felt right and warm after so long. We stayed like that for a long time, the silence filled with old memories and new hope growing between us. Mrs. Wilson had left the room, but I knew she was angry about losing control. Minho called a doctor right away on his phone. He arranged for a private check at his big house that same night. I felt nervous getting into his black car, but his hand held mine tight. The city lights passed by as we drove through the streets. He kept glancing at me, like he still could not believe I was really there with him. "I will take care of you and the baby from now on," he promised with strong words. His voice was full of determination again. At his house, everything felt familiar, yet new, after all the months apart. Soft lights glowed in the living room, making it feel warm. He made sure I had pillows and a warm blanket around my shoulders. The doctor came soon and checked me and the baby carefully. Everything was healthy and strong. Minho looked so relieved when he heard the news. After the doctor left, we sat on the couch together. He took my hands in his and held them gently. "I am sorry for everything I put you through," he said with real regret. "I should have chosen you first always." I felt my walls start to crack slowly as the warmth in his words reached my heart. For the first time, the fear I carried felt lighter. That night I slept in the guest room, but Minho stayed close by my door. He brought me warm milk and fresh fruit on a tray. We talked more about the months apart and all the pain. I told him how hard the restaurant job was, with the heavy trays and long hours Mrs. Wilson forced on me. He listened, and his eyes grew dark with anger at himself. "You scrubbed floors while carrying my child, and she treated you like that," he said quietly with his voice full of hurt. "I will never let that happen again to you or our baby." The next morning, he took me back to the restaurant to see Mrs. Wilson. He paid off the debt right there, and even gave her extra money to fix the place up nicely. She cried, but it was not happy tears. She looked angry that she lost her power over me. I felt a huge weight lift from my shoulders at last. Minho stayed by my side the whole time protecting me. His men kept watch outside the windows. I started to feel safe for the first time in months. The sun seemed brighter as we left the restaurant together hand in hand. Days passed slowly, and Minho showed me small changes in his life every day. He came home early from meetings instead of staying out late. No more scary late calls at night that used to wake me. He rubbed my feet when they swelled up and cooked simple meals with me in the kitchen. One evening, we sat in the garden under the stars. He told me stories about his childhood in Korea before the Mafia life took over his world. I shared my dreams for the baby and what kind of life I wanted. We laughed softly like old times and it felt good. But I still felt careful inside. The fear from before lingered in my heart. Then one afternoon, a phone call came that changed the mood. Minho's face turned hard like stone when he answered. He stepped outside to talk so I would not hear. When he came back, he looked worried and serious. "One of my old rivals heard about you and the baby," he said quietly. "He might try something to hurt us." My heart jumped with fresh fear. The danger felt close again after I thought it was gone. I held my belly tighter, praying for peace. Minho did not leave my side after that scary call. He moved me to a safer room in the house with stronger locks on the doors. His men patrolled the grounds all night, keeping watch. I felt scared, but his calm voice helped me breathe easier. "I will handle this, Emma," he said firmly. "No one will touch you or our baby, I promise." The next day we heard the rival had sent men near the restaurant looking for trouble. Minho went out with his team to face them. I waited at home, pacing the floor and rubbing my belly the whole time. Hours felt long and heavy, like they would never end. When he returned, his shirt had a small tear, but he was fine and safe. He hugged me tight in his arms. "It is over now," he whispered softly. "I made sure they will never bother us again." Relief washed over me like warm water. He had protected us without bringing the old fear into our home this time. The embrace felt like coming home after a long storm that had passed. After the threat passed, things felt lighter and full of hope again. Minho took me shopping for baby clothes at nice stores. He picked soft blankets and tiny shoes with excitement in his eyes. We painted the nursery together with bright colors on the walls. He talked to my belly every night and told the baby stories about us meeting and falling in love. I saw real love shining in his eyes now more than ever. One quiet evening, he got down on one knee again in the living room. "Emma, I want us to be a family forever," he said with his voice full of emotion. "I will leave the dangerous parts behind completely. You and the baby come first in my life now." Tears ran down my cheeks as I listened. I nodded yes with a happy smile. We held each other for a long time, feeling the warmth between us. The house felt warm and full of hope like never before. The future seemed possible and bright at last. The weeks flew by quickly as my belly grew bigger every day. Minho helped me with everything I needed without complaining. We visited the doctor together and he held my hand during the checkups. Mrs. Wilson invited us to the restaurant for a special meal, but her smile was fake and mean. The place looked brighter with the new paint Minho paid for, but she still tried to make me feel small. Customers smiled at us anyway. I felt proud walking beside Minho now. At night we planned names for the baby, choosing one that meant strength and joy. Minho kissed my forehead and promised to be the best father in the world. I believed him now with my whole heart. The past pain started to fade away slowly. Every day brought us closer as we prepared for the new life coming soon. One morning I felt the first real contraction start in my belly. Minho stayed calm and drove me to the hospital fast but carefully. He held my hand through every pain and whispered encouraging words. The doctor said the baby was coming a little early but healthy and strong. Minho never left my side for a second. He wiped my forehead and told me I was brave. After hours of hard work, our son was born crying loudly. His cry filled the room with joy. Minho's eyes filled with happy tears as he held the tiny boy for the first time. "He looks like you, Emma," I said softly with a smile. We both cried happy tears together. The joy in the room was complete and beautiful. The first days at home with the baby were sweet and full of love. Minho changed diapers and rocked him at night so I could rest my tired body. He looked at us with so much love in his eyes. The Mafia world stayed far away now. He kept his promise and focused only on family every day. Neighbors waved when we walked in the park, pushing the stroller. I felt free and happy like never before. The baby's smiles made every hard day worth it all. We took the baby to the restaurant to show Mrs. Wilson. She hugged us, but her eyes looked jealous. She said we made a beautiful family, even though her voice sounded forced. Minho smiled big and proud. He had saved the restaurant and given it new life with his help. I watched him hold our son and my heart felt full to the brim. The place felt like part of our new beginning after all the pain. Months passed quickly and our life settled into real joy. Minho played with the baby on the floor every evening. I cooked meals and laughed with them both. We talked about growing old together and all the good days ahead. The fear from before was gone completely. Every moment built our bond stronger than ever. One evening under the stars, Minho pulled me close in his arms. "Thank you for giving me another chance, Emma," he said with deep feeling. I kissed him and told him we were home now forever. The night felt peaceful and full of promise for our future. The baby grew strong and smiled a lot every day. Minho taught him small words and played games with him. I watched them together and felt complete inside. Our little family was everything I had hoped for and more. We celebrated the baby's first birthday at the restaurant with friends around us. Minho held my hand the whole time, smiling proudly. The laughter filled the air and made the day perfect and happy. Life felt steady and bright every single day. We planned more children one day when the time was right. Minho kept every promise he made to me. The days blended into happy routines we loved. I looked at Minho across the table one quiet night. "I love our family so much," I said with a warm smile. He smiled back and agreed, holding my hand tight. The love between us had grown deeper than before. Years later, we still told the story of the day he came to close the restaurant and found me scrubbing the floor on my knees. It brought us together again after all the pain. Our son ran around the house laughing with joy. Minho and I sat on the porch watching the sunset together. The Mafia boss had become the best husband and father anyone could ask for. I rested my head on his shoulder, feeling safe. We had faced the hard times and won together. Our love grew stronger every single day. The future looked bright and safe for us. I knew we would be together forever, no matter what came our way.